We now continue with our narration of Yogi Ramacharaka's Mystic Christianity. We are now about to commence into part 2 of lesson 3, the Mystic Youth of Jesus. In the immediately preceding video, we ended part 1 of lesson 3, the Mystic Youth of Jesus, with, let's see, that was a lengthy paragraph. Would not the Master, having found his strength and power, have insisted upon developing those? Could the divine genius, once self-recognized, be content to be obscured amid material pursuits? The New Testament is silent, but the occult traditions and mystic legends tell us the story of the missing 17 years, and these we shall now give to you. Now, part 2. The legends and the traditions of the mystic and occult organizations and brotherhoods tell us that after the occurrence of Jesus and the elders in the temple, and his recovery by his parents, the latter, his parents, were approached by members of the secret organization to which the Magi belonged, who pointed out to the parents the injustice of the plan of keeping the lad at the carpenter's bench when he had shown evidence of such a marvelous spiritual development and such a wonderful intellectual grasp of weighty subjects. It's told that after a long and serious consideration of the matter, the parents finally consented to the plan advanced by the Magi and allowed them to take the lad with them into their own land and retreats, that he might there receive the instructions for which his soul craved and for which his mind was fitted. It's true that the New Testament does not corroborate these occult legends. It's likewise true that it says nothing to the contrary. It's silent regarding this important period between 17 and 18 years duration. It's to be remembered that when he appeared upon the scene of John's ministration, John did not recognize him. Whereas had Jesus remained about his home, John, his cousin, would have been acquainted with his features and personal appearance. The occult teachings inform us that the 17 or 18 years of Jesus' life, regarding which the Gospels are silent, were filled with travels in far and distant lands, where the youth and young man was instructed in the occult lore and wisdom of the different schools. It is taught that he was taken into India and Egypt and Persia and other far regions, living there for several years at each important center and being initiated into the various brotherhoods, orders, and bodies having their headquarters there. Some of the Egyptians' orders have traditions of a young master who sojourned among them, and such is likewise the case in Persia and in India. Even among the lamaseries hidden in Tibet and in the Himalayan mountains are to be found legends and stories regarding the marvelous young master who once visited there and absorbed their wisdom and his secret knowledge. More than this, there are traditions among the Brahmins, the Buddhists, the Zoroastrians, telling of a strange young teacher who appeared among them, who taught marvelous truths, and who aroused great opposition among the priests of the various religions of India and Persia, owing to his preaching against priesthood and priestcraft and formalism, and also to his bitter opposition to all forms of caste distinctions and restrictions. And this, too, is in accord with the occult legends, which teach that from about the age of 21 until the age of nearly 30, Jesus pursued a ministry among the people of India and Persia and neighboring countries, returning at last to his native land, where he conducted a ministry extending over the last 3 years of his life. The occult legend informs us that he aroused great interest among the people of each land visited by him, and that he also aroused the most bitter opposition among the priests. For he always opposed formalism and priestcraft, and sought to lead the people back to the spirit of the truth, and away from the ceremonies and the forms which have always served to dim and becloud the light of the Spirit. He sought to bring the great occult truths down to the comprehension of the masses of people who had lost the spirit of the truth in their observance of outward forms and pretentious ceremonies. It is related that in India he brought down upon his head the wrath of the Brahmin upholders of the caste distinctions and that curse of India. Caste distinctions. He dwelt in the huts of the Sudras, the lowest of all the Hindu classes, and was therefore regarded as a pariah by the higher classes. Everywhere he was regarded as a firebrand and a disturber of established social order by the priests and the high caste people. He was an agitator, a rebel, a religious renegade, a socialist, a dangerous man, an undesirable citizen to those in authority in those lands. But the seeds of his wisdom were sown right and left. And in the Hindu religions of today and in the teachings of other Oriental countries may be found traces of truth, the resemblance of which to the recorded teachings of Jesus show that they came from the same source, and have sorely disturbed the Christian missionaries that have since visited these lands. And so, slowly and patiently, Jesus wended his way homeward toward Israel, where he was to complete his ministry by 3 years' work among his own race, and where he was to again raise up against himself the opposition of the priests and the upper classes, which would finally result in his death. He was a rebel against the established order of things, and he met the fate reserved for those who live ahead of their time. And as from the first days of his ministry to his last, so it is today. The real teachings of the man of sorrows reached more readily the heart of the plain people, while they are reviled and combated by those in ecclesiastical and temporal authority, even though these people claim allegiance to him and wear his livery. He was ever the friend of the poor and the oppressed and hated by those in authority. And so, you see, the occult teachings show Jesus to have been a worldwide teacher, instead of a mere Jewish prophet. The world was his audience, and all races his hearers. He planted his seeds of truth in the bosom of many religions instead of but one. And these seeds are beginning to bear their best fruit even now at this late day, when the truth of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man is beginning to be felt by all nations alike and is growing strong enough to break down the old, which have divided brother from brother and creed from creed. Christianity, true Christianity, is not a mere creed, but a great human and divine truth that will rise above all petty distinctions of race and creed and will at last shine on all men alike, gathering them into one fold of universal brotherhood. May that great day be hastened. And so we leave Jesus, wending his way slowly homeward toward Judea, the land of his father and the place of his birth, dropping a word here, planting a seed there. Onward he pursued his way, visiting this mystic brotherhood and resting a while in another occult retreat. He slowly retraced the journey of his youth. But while his outward journey was that of a student traveling forth to complete his education, he returned as a master and teacher, bearing and sowing the seeds of a great truth, which was to grow and bring forth great fruit, and which in time would spread all over the world in its primitive purity, notwithstanding its betrayal and corruption at the hands of those in whose keeping he left it when he passed away from the scene of his labors. Jesus came as a world prophet, not as a mere Jewish holy man, and still less as a Hebrew Messiah destined to sit upon the throne of his father David. And he left his mark upon all the great peoples of earth by his journey among them. Throughout Persia are found many traditions of Isa, the young master who appeared in that land centuries ago and who taught the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. Among the Hindus are found the strange traditions of Jezov or Joza, a young ascetic who passed through the Hindu long since, denouncing the established laws of caste and consorting with the common people who, as in Israel, heard him gladly. Even in China are found similar tales of young religious firemen preaching over the brotherhood of man, ever known as the friend of the poor. On and on he went, sowing the seeds of human freedom and the casting off of the yoke of ecclesiastical tyranny and formalism, which seeds are springing unto growth even to this late day. Yea, the spirit of his real teachings are even now bearing fruit in the hearts of men. And though nearly 2,000 years have passed by, the soul of his social teachings still goes marching on round and round the world. And that concludes Lesson 3, the mystic youth of Jesus, in Yogi Ramacharaka's Mystic Christianity. In our next video, we will commence with Lesson 4, the beginning of the ministry, which begins thus. When Jesus reached his native land after the years of travel in India, Persia, and Egypt, he is believed by the occultists to have spent at least 1 year among the various lodges and retreats of the Essenes. By reference to the first lesson of this series, you will see who and what was this great mystic organization, the Essenic Brotherhood. But that's for the next video, and see you then.